Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, striking their target. The new images coming in, the 10th military strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 6 people killed. And tonight, President Trump now sending an aircraft carrier strike group to the waters off Central and South America. We'll go live to Martha Raddatz. Tonight, day 24 of the government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of workers now going without their paychecks. Congress is still getting paid. President Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad featuring former President Ronald Reagan. And the new inflation report tonight showing inflation here in this country climbing at its fastest rate since January. Beef prices, for one, soaring. Tropical storm Melissa gaining strength in the Atlantic. A hurricane by tomorrow, expected to be a major Category 4 by Sunday. The new models just in tonight, the potential track of this storm. The alarming scene outside a Coast Guard base. Police opening fire during a protest, a U-Haul truck backing up into the gate. It comes after jarring images showing a minister hit in the face by a flashbang. A National Guard plane coming down across a highway, hitting power lines and crashing. A Delta passenger jet forced to abort takeoff, flames shooting from the right engine. The system-wide outage canceling hundreds of flights, travelers stranded for hours. What Alaska Airlines is now saying tonight. New York Attorney General Letitia James pleading not guilty tonight, accusing the Justice Department of being, quote, used as a tool of revenge. Here in New York City, the heated race for mayor, one day after Andrew Cuomo laughed after a radio host said Zohran Mamdani would cheer if there was another 9/11. Tonight, Mamdani, before the cameras, responding. His personal and at times emotional message for voters here. Tonight in Boston, there's been a deadly crane collapse. At least 2 people have been killed. This evening, the recall, the popular wipes, now being recalled because of a possible risk of serious infection. And tonight, you'll see it, the extraordinary rescue. The mom who jumped in to help save nearly 24 children. Just moments later, the bus engulfed in flames. Her bravery, our person of the week.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We do begin tonight with the breaking news. The Trump administration ramping up its military crackdown on suspected drug boats heading into the U.S. A huge escalation in this operation. The Pentagon now deploying an entire aircraft carrier strike group to the waters off Central and South America. The move coming hours after Secretary Pete Hegseth posted new video showing the latest strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 6 people killed. The boat was off of Venezuela. It's the 3rd such attack this week, the 10th since the operation began last month. Now the U.S. military is sending the USS Gerald Ford carrier group to the region, thousands of U.S. troops on board. ABC's Martha Raddatz leading us off tonight.
Tonight, a U.S. aircraft carrier and multiple warships now steaming towards the Caribbean. A dramatic escalation in what President Trump calls his war on drug cartels. This as a deadly new airstrike obliterated a suspected drug boat. Secretary Pete Hegseth posting video of that overnight attack, the boat taking a direct hit, exploding in flames. Hegseth saying at least 6 people were killed, claiming without evidence the boat was being operated by Tren de Aragua, a designated terrorist organization. It's the 10th known military attack on alleged drug boats, including 2 in the eastern Pacific Ocean off Central America. And tonight, the orders for that new, ferocious show of force. The USS Ford carrier strike group heading to the region. That carrier, bristling with firepower, including F-18 fighter jets, missile launchers, and attack submarines, adding some 5,000 American forces to the 10,000 already in the region. President Trump, who has said land attacks could be next, pressed if he will seek a declaration of war.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country.
While the vast majority of Republican lawmakers support the president's actions against cartels, concern is growing.
You can't randomly just blow up the enemy without identifying them and accusing them of crime unless you're at war.
David, we have seen these airstrikes again and again on these boats the administration says are carrying drugs, but President Trump is now threatening land strikes on drug cartels, which those fighter jets on the carrier are fully capable of carrying out. David?
Martha Raddatz leading us off on a Friday night. Martha, thank you. Tonight, day 24 of this government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of workers now going without their paychecks. And tonight, the new inflation report showing inflation in this country rising at its fastest pace since last January, up 3% last month compared to a year ago. Prices rising, beef prices soaring. Economists say the tariffs are partly to blame, and tonight President Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad featuring Ronald Reagan. What he says in the ad. Here's Elizabeth Schulze tonight.
Thank you.
Tonight, President Trump abruptly launching a new trade war with Canada, declaring all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. The president infuriated by this ad produced by the province of Ontario, which uses the words of former President Ronald Reagan.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars.
Trump posting accusing Canada of trying to illegally influence the United States Supreme Court, which is set to hear arguments in 2 weeks on whether the president's sweeping tariffs are constitutional. Canada's prime minister sounding resigned.
We can't control the trade policy of the United States.
Trump's tariffs are now beginning to affect the prices we pay for everything from furniture to clothes to groceries. A new government report shows inflation is picking up, prices increasing 3% from last year. The typical American household is now spending an extra $208 per month. Trina Duda, a mother of a second grader, says she's feeling it.
This gallon of milk is $2 more than it was.
Than it was like a month ago, yeah.
At the grocery store, tariffs are hitting imported foods. Coffee prices surging 41% in the past year. Lettuce up 21%. Sirloin steak up 20%.
How much did you pay for your groceries today?
$55.
More or less than last month?
Maybe 5 or 10% more.
That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it.
It comes as the government shutdown drags into day 24 with no end in sight. Today, more than 500,000 workers missed their first full paycheck, many of them employees at the Pentagon, HHS, and the VA. Another 700,000 plus people will miss their first full paycheck next week. At this food bank in Alexandria, Virginia, a furloughed worker at the Department of Defense telling us that she feels like a pawn in the game.
This distribution's happening every Friday as long as the government shutdown happens.
Furious that lawmakers are getting their paychecks, but she's not.
They need to go without a paycheck. They need to get low on food so they can understand what we're dealing with. It's not fair. It's just not fair.
David, again, this is day 24 of the government shutdown, and right now Republicans and Democrats don't even seem to be talking to each other. President Trump leaves tonight for a summit in Asia. David.
And as you point out, these American workers fully aware Congress is still getting paid. Elizabeth, thank you. Tonight, we're keeping a close watch on Tropical Storm Melissa gaining strength in the Atlantic, set to become a hurricane by tomorrow and a major Category 4 hurricane by Sunday night. Jamaica bracing for flooding, mudslides, power outages. The storm already deadly tonight. Heavy rain and flooding in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And tonight, the new models are in here, the potential path from there. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from WABC with us again tonight. Hi, Lee.
David, a sobering update from the Hurricane Center tonight because the new forecast track is really a worst-case scenario for Jamaica. Melissa's been strengthening today, a 65-mile-an-hour storm. You can see thunderstorms tightening around the center, a sign of strengthening. But now it's going to become a hurricane tomorrow, likely rapidly intensify on Sunday into a major hurricane, and a track that goes near or right over Jamaica Monday into Tuesday. Devastating impact, and then over to Cuba after that. It's moving so slowly that it'll dump fire hoses of rain over parts of Hispaniola and Jamaica, catastrophic flooding, landslides, and destructive winds. We could be measuring the rain in feet in parts of Haiti and Jamaica. Into Wednesday and Thursday of next week, finally, the storm goes over Cuba into the Bahamas and then out in the Atlantic. We're covering it all weekend long. David?
Monster of a storm. Lee Goldberg, thank you. Tonight, the alarming scene outside a Coast Guard base. Federal agents opening fire during a protest. A U-Haul truck backing up into the gate in Alameda, California. Here's Kayna Whitworth with the pictures tonight.
This is the Coast Guard. This is the moment federal agents open fire on a U-Haul backing up toward them before speeding away from this Coast Guard base near San Francisco.
Is anyone injured? Is anybody hit?
The Coast Guard says officers opened fire after the driver ignored verbal commands to stop. That driver wounded, according to Homeland Security, who says a protester was also struck by a fragment. That shooting coming after a day of clashes. Protesters tried to block Border Patrol vehicles arriving at the base as agents used flashbangs to disperse the crowd.
Back it up right now!
DHS says protesters attacked and were given a warning to clear the street, but refused to move. A pastor seen here standing with a sign when an agent fires a flashbang from just a few feet away. That minister, helped by others at the scene.
I obviously was shocked with whatever that Border Patrol had directly to my face. And that came to say we're here in peace and he didn't care.
Yesterday, President Trump called off a planned surge of agents to San Francisco, at least for now. But this week, clashes escalating in cities like New York and Chicago, where Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino was seen allegedly hurling a tear gas canister, a judge ordering him to appear in court over the use of force. Today, the Department of Homeland Security defending his action, saying the chief had been hit in the head by protesters launching commercial fireworks. And David, while authorities tell us the incident at the California Coast Guard base is isolated, they say it also highlights an increase in claims of vehicle ramming attacks against federal agents. And the suspect in this case has now been released from the hospital and is in custody. David.
Kayna Whitworth with us. Kayna, thank you. Tonight, New York Attorney General Letitia James pleading not guilty to federal charges, one of President Trump's top targets. And tonight, what she's now saying, accusing the president of using the Justice Department as a tool of revenge. Here's Pierre Thomas now.
Tonight, a defiant New York Attorney General Letitia James pleading not guilty to federal charges after President Trump urged his Justice Department to go after her.
So there's no fear today. No fear. No fear. No fear. No fear. Because I believe that justice will rain down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream.
James, a target of the president ever since she brought a $500 million civil fraud case against Trump and his family. Trump publicly urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute her.
It looks to me like she's very guilty of something, but I really don't know.
The veteran prosecutor investigating James determined there was not enough evidence to bring charges, so Trump forced him out, quickly installing his own former personal attorney, Lindsay Halligan, an insurance attorney who has never prosecuted a case. Halligan convinced the grand jury to indict James on 2 counts related to alleged mortgage fraud. She's accused of obtaining a favorable mortgage on a house in Virginia by allegedly telling the bank she planned to use it as a secondary residence. Prosecutors claim she actually used it as a rental property. James says his case is about only one thing: retribution.
This is about all of us and about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge.
James is the third nemesis of Trump to be indicted in less than a month, along with former FBI Director James Comey and former National Security Advisor John Bolton. And David, there are more names on that list and more investigations underway.
Pierre Thomas with us tonight. Pierre, thank you. This evening, dramatic images of a National Guard plane coming down in Oklahoma City. The pilot and civilian contractor on board were on a training mission. The plane coming down across a highway there in front of those cars, crashing into a field. The plane hitting power lines, sparking a brush fire. The 2 people on board were not hurt. A Delta passenger jet was forced to abort takeoff. It happened at the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport. Flames shooting from the right engine. The plane speeding down the runway. Flames coming from under the wing. Emergency crews racing to the aircraft. No one was hurt. And tonight, Alaska Airlines working to get back on schedule now following a system-wide IT outage, canceling more than 400 flights across the U.S. The sudden ground stop, stranding thousands of passengers for hours. The airline says it's working to get passengers to their destinations as quickly as possible. In New York City tonight, the heated race for mayor turning personal. One day after Andrew Cuomo laughed after a radio host said Zohran Mamdani would cheer if there was another 9/11. Tonight, Mamdani coming before the cameras to respond. His personal and at times emotional message for the voters. Here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, in an emotional speech, Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, the frontrunner in the race for New York City mayor, declaring that despite recent attacks from his opponents, he will not run from his Muslim faith, pointing out 1 million Muslims live in this city, and they are New Yorkers like everyone else.
Will we remain in the shadows, or will we together step into the light?
Mamdani responding to this moment, his rival, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, laughing when a radio host said Mamdani would likely cheer on another 9/11 attack.
God forbid another 9/11. Can you imagine Mamdani in the seat?
Yeah, I could. He'd be cheering.
Well, it's another problem. But can you imagine that?
Today, Mamdani calling out those comments.
Yesterday, Andrew Cuomo laughed and agreed when a radio host said that I would cheer another 9/11.
Saying New York Muslims have been forced to live in the shadows.
The dream of every Muslim is simply be treated the same as any other New Yorker. And yet for too long, we have been told to ask for less than that and to be satisfied with whatever little we receive. No more.
Hours later, Cuomo firing back, accusing Mamdani of dividing people, calling him an actor and citing his outspoken views on the war between Israel and Hamas.
He is not the victim. He is the offender.
Mamdani insisting he will stay true to himself.
There are 12 days remaining until Election Day. I will be a Muslim man in New York City each of those 12 days and every day that follows after that. I will not change who I am, how I eat, or the faith that I am proud to call my own.
And David, after months of waiting, today House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who's from New York, endorsed Zohran Mamdani. The election's now less than 2 weeks away. David.
Trevor Rolt on the mayoral race. Trevor, thanks. Tonight, amid that new inflation report showing prices rising at the fastest pace since last January, the stock market finishing the week at an all-time high. The Dow gaining 472 points, closing above 47,000 for the first time ever. A new record for the Nasdaq as well, up 263 points, closing at 23,204. The S&P 500 adding 53 points, closing at a record 6791. When we come back on a Friday night, the images coming in, there's been a deadly crane collapse. The crane coming down near Boston, at least 2 dead tonight, what we know so far. Also ahead, the extraordinary rescue, the mom who jumped in to get 22 children off a school bus when she saw it was on fire. The bus then engulfed in flames. In a moment here. Tonight, there's been a deadly crane collapse outside Boston. The pictures here, the massive crane coming down at a dockyard in Everett this afternoon. Aerial pictures show the crane across the dock there, partially leaning right into the water. Authorities say 2 workers were killed. There's no word yet tonight on what caused this collapse. When we come back here, the recall tonight, some popular wipes being recalled now because of risk of possible infection. And that bus engulfed in flames moments after a mom helped get 22 children off the bus. And you'll see it in a moment. To the index of other news, Neutrogena tonight recalling makeup remover wipes due to an infection risk. Neutrogena recalling its Ultra-Soft Cleansing Towelettes in packs of 25 and 50. The FDA tonight saying the wipes may be contaminated with a bacteria that could cause serious infections, including sepsis. The recall affects 1,300 cases of these wipes shipped to Texas, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. When we come back tonight, the school bus on fire, the mom who jumped in to help get 22 children off, and what happened just moments later. Finally tonight here, we already know moms are brave, but this was quite something. Our person of the week. Tonight in East Bethel, Minnesota, just outside Minneapolis, an entire community grateful for a mother who saw something was wrong and immediately acted. Mom Carrie Thorpe walking out her front door as the school bus was pulling up. Her 6-year-old daughter, Oakland, coming home from kindergarten. The bus packed with children, 22 in all. Immediately, that mom notices a fire under the front right tire. The family's doorbell cam capturing the entire thing. As her daughter steps off the bus, that mom alerts the bus driver, pointing to the fire. She then runs to the bus door to help get the rest of the children off that bus, telling them all to run up the driveway to her front porch. The children, of course, frightened with their backpacks still on, huddling on the front porch, smoke now billowing from the front of the bus. The mom and the bus driver then moving them even further away. And then a minute later, the front of the bus engulfed in flames. And then an explosion. Firefighters racing to the neighborhood, putting out the flames, melting the bus, the tires, all of the children okay. The school, East Bethel Elementary, later gathering the children and thanking that mom and the bus driver. And right here tonight.
Good evening, David.
That brave mother, Carrie Thorpe, from her front porch, the mom who saw something and acted.
It's a constant reminder to stay aware of what is happening around you, to always look up, to always have your eyes forward. It is truly about the community we have here that came together to help these children out who were frightened, scared, and we just wanted to keep them safe.
And you did. So we choose that mom, Carrie Thorpe. Incredible. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.